They told me I didn't belong in that room, and the strange thing is, I almost believed them, because for most of my life, I had learned how to stand quietly on the edges of important places watching. Other people move confidently through doors that never seemed meant for me. So when I walked up to the entrance of the Meridian Foundation Gala that evening, black tie required, valet lines stretching down the block, glass doors glowing under warm lights, I already felt familiar with the idea of being invisible, even though my name was printed neatly inside the official program folded on every chair in the ballroom, the kind of irony life seems to enjoy. My parents arrived well before me, as they always did, stepping out of a polished sedan, like they had rehearsed it for years, my father in a custom-tailored tuxedo with understated but expensive cufflinks, my mother in a flowing midnight blue gown, posture-straight smile perfected through decades of networking events and donor dinners, both of them moving with the effortless confidence of people who believed status was something you wore, and that it could be recognized instantly by others like them. I came alone, no partner, no assistant, no quiet entourage, just a simple black suit that fit well, but didn't announce anything a plain watch. I'd owned for years and empty hands because I had learned that the loudest signals often distract from real substance. And as I handed my invitation to the attendant, my mother's eyes found me across the marble floor before I had taken 5 steps inside, her expression tightening in a way I recognized instantly. That subtle shift between polite public warmth and private disappointment, and she approached me quickly, lowering her voice so it wouldn't carry. "What are you doing here, Elias?" she asked, eyes darting around as if my presence itself might embarrass her. "This isn't an open event." My father joined us moments later, his smile fading as he looked me over like he was assessing a miscalculation. "This gala is for donors, executives, board members," he said quietly, gesturing vaguely toward the room as though I were a smudge on an otherwise clean surface. "You should probably leave before someone asks questions." I nodded, not because they were right, but because I had long ago realized that defending myself to them only made them more certain of their assumptions, and in their world success had a very specific costume, a vocabulary, a timeline, and I had never followed the script closely enough to earn their confidence. So instead of arguing, I moved deeper into the ballroom and stopped near a column at the back, hands loosely folded, watching as waitstaff glided between tables and conversations rose and fell beneath the chandeliers. And I thought about the last 25 years of my life, spent not in boardrooms or on magazine covers, but in quiet offices, secure facilities, late-night conference calls, and windowless rooms, where decisions were made that most people never knew existed because my work as a senior infrastructure resilience strategist for the federal government wasn't too glamorous or visible, but it mattered in ways that only became obvious when something went wrong, and the goal was always to make sure nothing ever did. I specialized in identifying weak points in large-scale systems, transportation corridors, emergency response networks, energy distribution frameworks, the invisible architecture that keeps cities moving and people safe. And I had spent decades helping redesign contingency plans that prevented cascading failures during crises most citizens never even heard about, work that didn't come with applause, only responsibility. When the lights dimmed and the host stepped onto the stage, dressed sharply and speaking with practiced ease, the room slowly quieted. Glasses were set down, conversations paused, and he began talking about the Foundation's mission, its partners, and the importance of leadership that operates behind the scenes. And I noticed my parents leaning forward slightly in their seats, attentive now, engaged, because this was the language they respected. Then the host said something that made the air shift. "Tonight," he announced, "we are honoring someone whose work has quietly shaped the safety and resilience of systems millions of people rely on every day, often without ever knowing his name." A large screen behind him lit up with images of infrastructure diagrams, emergency response maps, coordination centers, and I felt a familiar calm settle over me, the kind that comes when preparation meets the moment. "This year's honoree," he continued, played a key role in redesigning national contingency protocols used across multiple agencies. Frameworks that have prevented failures we'll never see, disasters that never happened because someone noticed the cracks before they broke. And then my name appeared on the screen, clear and unmistakable, and the room went silent in that rare, collective way that happens when surprise interrupts expectation. I saw my mother's hand freeze mid-motion, my father slowly turning toward the back of the room, eyes scanning, confused, until they landed on me, standing quietly by the column. "Please welcome," the host said warmly, scanning the room, and when he saw me stepping forward, his face broke into a smile. "There he is." The applause began hesitantly, then grew as people recognized the moment. Chairs, shifting hands, clapping murmurs, spreading like ripples across water. And I walked toward the stage with steady steps, not hurried, not triumphant, just present, because I had walked into more intimidating rooms than this one many times before. As I took the microphone, I could feel the weight of the room's attention, and I glanced briefly at my parents in the front row, their expressions caught somewhere between shock and realization. "I didn't expect my family to be here tonight," I said calmly, my voice even, "but I'm glad they came." A few people smiled softly, sensing there was more beneath the words, but I didn't linger on it. I spoke instead about teams, about preparation, about the people whose names never appear on programs, the analysts, engineers, planners, and coordinators who work in obscurity to make sure emergencies never become headlines, about how the most important victories are the ones that go unnoticed, and how prevention rarely earns applause, but it saves lives all the same. I didn't mention being doubted. I didn't mention being told I didn't belong. I didn't need to. When I finished, the applause returned stronger, fuller, no longer polite but genuine. And as I stepped down from the stage, conversations resumed with a different tone, one shaped by respect rather than assumption. My parents approached me near the edge of the platform. After a few moments, my mother's voice quieter now, stripped of its earlier sharpness. "We didn't know," she said. My father nodded slowly. "You never told us," he added, as if the responsibility still rested somewhere outside himself. I looked at them, really looked, and for the first time, I didn't feel the need to explain. "You never asked," I replied gently, not out of anger, but clarity. The rest of the evening unfolded in a way I hadn't anticipated. Introductions handled with care, questions asked with genuine curiosity, my parents standing beside me unsure of how to recalibrate the story they had carried for years. And as I eventually stepped back into the cool night air, the sounds of the gala fading behind me, I realized something that had taken me decades to fully understand. Belonging is not something granted by gatekeepers or validated by appearances. It is built quietly over time through consistency, integrity, and work that holds up under pressure. And sometimes the people who try to keep you out of the room are the very last ones to learn that you are never asking for permission in the first place.